Hey y'all, so I'm gonna be doing something a little different today, something way out of my comfort zone, but getting out of your comfort zone is not always a bad thing. And I'm here to just give God the honor, the praise, and the glory that he deserves, and just tell you a little bit about what he's done in my life. I'll just jump right on in, and I'll give you a little bit of backstory on my family. So starting off with my aunt, and this is on my dad's side. My aunt in 2000 was diagnosed with heart failure, and she received a pacemaker that same year. And in 2005 she received another pacemaker, and 2008 received her third pacemaker. So she lived about 9 years with a pacemaker and fighting this disease. In 2008, just a few days before my dad's 36th birthday, he was diagnosed with the same heart condition. He received a defibrillator, pacemaker, later on went on to receive an LVAD. He then went on to be put on the transplant list to receive a heart. They both fought a good fight, and they won their fights. It may not have been what we had in mind, you know, as a family, and it was the hardest thing that my family's ever had to deal with. But you know, he's got other plans, and they're far greater than our own, even when we can't see it. So they both fought this fight with this heart disease, and going through this, you know, seeing my aunt, and then seeing my dad, who was this outgoing, one of the manliest men I've ever met, got up every day, provided for his family, to then just be this man that was laying in a hospital bed, and it was merely a challenge just to get up and walk a couple steps. It was hard. It was hard for my stepmom, my grandma, who has lost both of her children, my little sister. You know, it was hard for a lot of people, and just seeing that and hearing doctors tell your family that this is pretty much it. This is pretty much it. I have no words. So, doctors had told my dad, you know, you need to get your children tested for this gene. And my dad practically pounded it into my head, Kinsley, you need to get tested, you need to get tested, you need to get tested. I remember the last 2 or 3 birthdays, you know, you'd be happy, oh, it's my birthday, but at the same time, there was this sadness and fear that would come over me, just thinking I'm another year closer to needing to get tested for this gene. They told him that his children would need to be tested 10 years prior to when he was diagnosed, which would be around 25. I'm 24. So I done it. I took the plunge after, you know, my dad died in 2019, January the 11th. It's now 2020, and I think it was around June. I called Chapel Hill, the same doctor that treated my dad at one point, and I made the appointment. I just remember feeling scared, anxious with a capital A, just so fearful, because I had just seen what this horrible disease had just done to my aunt and then my father. And so the time come, it was time for the appointment. A couple days prior, I called, canceled the appointment. I was like, I have to reschedule, something's came up, and I did that 3 times. Every time, like, I can't do it, scared to death, and I just found some reason each time. to call and cancel. That third time, my boyfriend was like, Kinsley, you will go to this appointment if I have to go there and drag you to Chapel Hill myself. So I did. I went to the appointment, and due to COVID, no one was able to go back with me. And I remember, you know, on the way up there, like, just the feeling of like having to throw my guts up because I was so scared. And between that and just thinking about my dad and what, you know, had just happened not long ago, it was hard. And I just remember sitting in this silent room by myself. Like, prior to the appointment, I had been praying, I had been fasting, seeking God, you know, and I'm being transparent here, you know, knowing what God could do and believing He could do it, but not walking in that He's going to do it for me. And we tend to do that a lot. Like, we know God can do something and we believe He can, but believing He'll actually do it for us, we tend to not walk in that. They went over everything with me, possibilities. They went over outcomes with me and, you know, asked me a bunch of questions. So I sat there, and then at the end, they did the blood work. So blood work was sent over to the genetics place that tested. I don't know the proper name. And it had been about 2 weeks, and she said, you know, that's about how long it would take. I'm sitting over here in those 2 weeks, and I'm like losing it. And then finally the results came back. And I just want to stop there, and I want to read one of my dad's favorite verses. He loved this verse, and I took a notebook in with me to the doctor with questions that I had, or, you know, breaking down everything about the family tree and all. And I wrote this verse on the front of this notebook, and I'll never forget it. It's Isaiah 43:2, and it says, when thou passeth through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers thou shalt not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall thy flame kindle upon thee. And that verse just stuck out in my head, and I would read it. I took it with me everywhere that I went. It meant a lot to my dad, and then, you know, soon it became to mean a lot to me. This phone call was the most important phone call of my life. I sat there, and I'm like, I seen the number pop up, and my heart just sank down to my feet, and I answered, and I'm like, hello. She said, Kinsley, your results just came back. They actually just came across my desk 5 minutes ago. I began to just play back everything in my mind, and she said, Kinsley, your results are negative. You don't have this gene. That instant, I just started crying and thanking God. She teared up a little bit on the phone, and we got off the phone, and I hung up, called my family and let them know, and had that moment. And I just want to thank God for what He has done in my life. That was literally something that decided my future, and He just comes in like He does. And something that's like stuck in my head was, when the odds are against you, He is for you. And everything around me just looked negative. They both fought. They both passed away with this horrible condition, and it looked like a bad situation. I felt like the odds were against me, and God He showed up and He showed out. And I have the results here they sent, and it says, oh, thank you, Jesus. Y'all don't understand. He's a good God. He's a good God. This is from Chapel Hill, and it says, your genetic test, which was performed by the place it was performed at, revealed that you do not carry the LMNA mutation found in your family. This is a normal result. And this is what God can do. When it seems like the odds are just against you and your family. You've seen your dad fight a fight and fought so hard and just remained so inspirational and just continuously gave God credit for everything, even on his hardest days when he couldn't get up out of a bed, when he wasn't able to walk. He just thanked God, and he continued to thank him until his last breath. And you see that, and then you get something like this from the doctor that treated your dad. Oh, he's so good. He's so good. He's so good. And I'm so undeserving. I'm so undeserving. I just wanted to share that in hopes that it could help somebody. I don't care what you're going through today. I don't care what the odds look like. I don't care what the odds look like. If everything around you seems to be crumbling, I know a man that can. He can and he will. And we have to stop just believing he can and knowing he can, but walking in it and believing that he'll do that same thing for us. We have to walk in it, and I'm praying for each and every one of you. Some I may not even know, but my prayer today is that you would walk in that, and you will walk in knowing that he'll do it for you. No matter the odds, he'll do it for you. Thank y'all for watching, and sorry I'm a mess, but just wanted to share that part of my testimony. And I miss my daddy so much. I miss him so much. I miss my aunt so much. But I know they're in a better place, and I rest in that, and it brings me peace. So I hope y'all are having a great Saturday. Thank y'all.